School is the most important thing in your life. And while I hate school, I got a PhD. And I hate school. I hate everything about it. So somebody say, E, if you hate school so much, why you get a PhD? Because I hate school, but I love options. You can have average skill, but you can't have average will. You can't have average will. Like your will has to be phenomenal. You have to see basketball as the gateway. It's like a passport. Basketball is just your way to get in, and then once you get in, boom, then you dominate. So I'm telling you, you're not taking a test because they're giving you the test. You're taking a test that's about to change your life, your mama's life. And I know if you take the test serious, you'll kill it. When you go through your go-through, your siblings are watching you. When you go through your go-through, your friends are watching you. When you go through your go-through, your parents are watching you. And people will use your strength to get through their stuff.
Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy E.T. Let me start here. Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year. Man, we off in this thing. We off in this thing. Do me a huge favor. Forget the past. Okay, leave 2012. I know it happened. You know what I'm saying? I know it's real. 2015. You messed up 2017. But do me a favor. Let's come up out of that. We got a brand new one, 2022. We got a brand new one. And again, we're here to do what we did last year, right? And that's number one, to inspire you, give you the fuel you need. Just when we thought we was in the clear with all the variant, you know what I'm saying? Like, here we go again, you know, but again, you know, we're not going to allow it to stop the mission, right? If the mission was easy, everybody would do it, right? But we're going to finish the mission, all right? And we're here to give you that fuel to finish the mission. Number two, we're going to say something today that will either spark something you already know and make you go deeper, right? A deeper connection, right? Or maybe you might hear something you've never heard before. But then finally, of course, we hear, you know, because everybody needs somebody to lean on, all right? And so we got your back. What was that? Info at info. What was that? Give us that again. How do you get in contact with us?
Info at extremeteachers.com.
There you go.
At extremeteachers.com.
There you go. Info at extremeteachers.com. If you need us to come to your school, if you just need an ear, you know, if you need, I need a solution for this problem, man, just send us an email and I promise you we got you. Now, if it was back in the day, I'd give you an 800 number, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's 2022. All right. So we're doing things a little different now.
Hey, E,
but Katie, talk to us. What are we talking
can I ask
about?
a question?
Yeah.
Can we do, we do get questions.
Okay,
So what do y'all
yeah.
think about doing a Q&A show?
I love it.
One of the
I love it.
episodes, we just do Q&A.
I love it. I love it. Or if you want to drop a 1 or 2 Q&As in each episode,
That's what I was
however you
gonna say,
want to
too.
do it, I'm here for it. However you want to do
All
it.
right, because
I'm
we're
here
getting
for
it.
it.
Okay. All right.
You're going to get them ready for us.
Studio, Katie.
Yes.
I like it. Well, today we're finishing our innovative instruction series. So we've been talking about innovative instruction, and today sounds simple, but I'm excited to hear where the conversation goes. And we're going to talk about making learning fun. So making it fun and approachable for students, families, and teachers, right? So the parents, the teachers, the students, how do we make it fun and approachable for everybody? And how that gets them engaged and excited about learning.
I love it. So let's start here. You know, I was thinking about that and I was saying, what are the environments just in general that I have the most fun? You know what I'm saying? Restaurants, you feel me? The restaurant, you know, amusement parks, you know, the movie theater. You know, I was trying to think, you know, like what are the places that I have the most fun? And I'll give you guys an opportunity to answer this as well. But I'll be honest, when I really thought about it, it was I was trying to figure out what they all had in common. And what they all have in common is I get to make the choices. You know what I'm saying? Like when I go to the movie theater, it's a lot of movies there, but I get to decide what movie I want to go to. I get to decide, like, you know, like even though I didn't make the movie, I didn't create the movie theater. I didn't create the seats in there, you know, the popcorn. It's a lot of structure already in the movie theater, believe it or not. Yeah. It's already a lot of structure. You know what I'm saying? But I get to decide when I go You know, if I want to go see Spider-Man, you know what I'm saying? If I want to go see Dark Knight Rises, you know, if I want to go see King Richard, like I really get, you know, then again, the restaurants structure, they got a menu. It's a, you know, they got the waiters. Like it's already structured pretty much. But the beautiful thing about the restaurant is, again, I get to pick the entree. I get the appetizer, whatever dessert I want. You know, it's not one of those situations where it's like, you know, boom, boom. And even at the amusement park, you feel me? I get do I want Universal Studio? Do I want It's a Small World After All? You know what I'm saying? Like, I get to decide which rides, you know, I get on. And Didi's favorite ride, I don't know why, even as an adult, It's a Small World After All. Like, we got to go through that joint twice, you know what I'm saying? And it's a long ride, right? But you know, I get to decide. You know, Disney has all of these different theme parks, and I get to decide the theme park. And so for me, and you know, every student is different. But for me, I think the way to be innovative, you know, is really choices. You know, and I think one of the struggles I had with school, you know, is it wasn't a lot of, and maybe again, like I said, maybe that's why I like college. I think that was probably the first time I got to choose my classes. I got to choose, like, yo, if I do 8 o'clock in the morning, if I do, you know what I'm saying? And while a lot of people might be looking at me like, man, that's not even doable. First of all, don't say that. Please don't say that. Say that we've set up the schooling situation where we have to wait till we get to college to make certain decisions. Don't say we can't do it K through 12, right? Just say that that's not traditionally what we do. And then I'll say that because COVID has taught us nothing is normal anymore. So don't say normal anymore. Like, don't use that word. Nothing is normal anymore. So for me, I just want to start there. Choice, you know, we can be innovative by saying, yo, this is what you have to do, but we're not going to strong arm you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to get strong armed. Here's what you have to do. You get to decide, you know, if you want Polynesian sauce with your chicken, you want Chick-fil-A sauce with it, you want barbecue sauce. And I'm telling y'all, this may seem like something small, but there are a large majority of people who have an independent spirit. I see it in the babies. We try to break the babies, but I see sometimes the babies be knowing what they want. It's like, I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? And we like, no, you gonna get this. And it's like, okay, this is why, like, don't label me as bad because I'm trying to tell you what I want and you try to tell me what you're gonna do. Like don't label me as bad. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't say I'm defiant. Don't say, you know, I got ADHD. No, I know what I want. And I'm telling you, I've seen them. I've seen it in Charlie. You know what I'm saying? And she ain't even two. I seen Charlie like, no. I don't want that. I want this. Or I want more of that. Like, you decided that this is all I should have. Well, I'm trying to tell you, I want more of the applesauce, you know? And again, I don't think we mean to do it, but we do in this country, we do strong arm people. You know, we do bully people. You know, there's this thing, this, like, we are in charge. You know, we get to decide, and so we try to force people into this one size fits all, and it just doesn't exist.
We try to force people, we bully people, and then expect innovation.
Yes.
And then with the same expectation
from them.
Cooperation. Of innovation and cooperation. Right. I am a firm believer. When I first started high school, is the first thing I noticed, the first thing I said, how is it that these kids, ninth through seniors, are expected to live one way, and then the very next year, without, like, maybe it's like 2 months in between, everything about everything they've ever done is completely different.
Yeah,
and there is no structure in place for a transition.
To college, you're talking about.
It's the weirdest
it's
thing.
Unbelievable.
Whether they go to a trade school, they go to college, they go to real life.
Sure. Okay.
Most of what they'll do after high school looks nothing like
absolutely
high school.
Nothing like it.
And I'm gonna venture out to say, and this is a tad bit taboo, the senior year is a wash in a lot of cases.
It's a wash. It's a wash. It's a wash.
But you know what? And it's like we setting them up for failure. Yeah. And I believe that played a role in my freshman year. I had a
Yeah.
0.923.
Yours too. Yours too.
Right, right. You're right. Me too. Right. But here's the deal. It's because we didn't think about the freedom of choice. We didn't think about all of the options, because options allow for control. And when you get away from home, it's so many freedoms that you never had, or choices that you don't know how to make the right choice because you haven't been taught how to make the right choice. And then you end up in this situation where you're like, wait a minute, I don't have to get up in the morning if I don't want to.
Right.
I don't. And then someone tells you, I don't know if the someone is in your head or outside your head. Someone tells you you've been going to school all your life at 8 o'clock. You might as well get an 8 o'clock class. That's what time school starts. But if you know you are not an early riser, hello, somebody. Guess what? Get you a 10 or 11 o'clock class. Don't get an 8 o'clock class.
Listen, all 5 years in college, I never ever had an 8 o'clock class.
Well, unlike me.
Me, I definitely did.
I had an 8 o'clock. I didn't know any better. I thought that's when school started.
Yeah, I had one too. I don't know that I did well at it, but I did.
I went all the time. I said I was assigned to be in the class, but I said, "Oh my goodness!" And I did not realize that we were in, like, now that I'm in a high school setting right now. I'm like, we're not setting these kids up, for success. And then, like, oh, they like to. He comes to first period late all the time, so they took away his first period class. What job? It's gonna say, hey, Eric, you don't like getting up on time. What time would you like to come to work?
It's 4 o'clock where I am right now.
Right.
It's 4 o'clock where I am right now. But I got to get up. Yeah. And again, all I'm saying is, be innovative.
Oh yes, come on.
That's it. And when I was at Michigan State University, for those students who had not even prepared themselves for that type of environment, whether it be rigor, whether it be class size, whether it be ethnic background, whatever it was, only 30 out of 100% of our students graduated in 6 years, males. Females was 50-50, right? So 3 big things. The first one was the transition. Like, a lot of kids couldn't make that transition from being told what to do their whole lives, again, no innovation, to now being dumped on complete innovation. It's like you made no choices, K through 12. Now you make all your choices, right? Tough. Number 2, the support system that they generally had, like from whatever city they were from, Saginaw, Flint, Detroit, Muskegon, wherever Chicago, Gary. Now they don't have that support system anymore, right? So that's huge, right? We're talking about innovation. And you know what I thought was the craziest thing at Michigan State, and I used to get in trouble for this all the time, but when they came to college, they no longer had to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they no longer had to be accountable to their parents. So it was illegal. It was illegal for parents to be involved. And I'm like, hold up now. Mom is like working at Ford.
And she paying for it.
And mom putting in work.
And she still can't get them grades.
I'm saying,
she still can't get them grades.
25 grand, 50 grand. And mom can't see the grades. Dad can't see the grades. So I thought that was the second piece, again, innovation. Let's find a way, of course, not for them to be helicopter parents, but let's find a way to keep their social capital. That's social capital, right? We got to be innovative. You just can't steal somebody's entire social capital and say, like, you're on your own now, right? And so for a lot of our babies, they grew up going to church, right? So they don't have that social capital of church anymore. And so it's like, we got to be innovative. How do we get pastor involved in their learning? How do we get grandma involved in their learning? And so again, we're talking about innovation. We know that research shows that students whose, parents or some guardian, is involved, they tend to do a lot better. So it's like, how do we find a way to keep parents, keep guardians, keep whoever? How do we find a way to keep them involved? So again, we're just talking about being innovative, right? That's important. And then I think you guys said it. A lot of our kids struggle in terms of innovation with, like, why am I taking this class? Like, what is my career? Like, what's my career path? And it's like, we just jump you straight into engineer. It's like, bro, you don't even, you've not even done well in math. Who let you pick engineering? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you've never passed math in your life, and you need a whole bunch of it, you know? So for me, that last one, I hope you guys understand, it's control innovation. It's like, yep, we have to give innovation, but at the same time, we have to give the type of innovation that will increase a students, you know, academic aptitude, not the type of innovation that's going to kill you, you know, that's going to stretch you too thin or going to put you, you know, in a situation where you can't be successful. So I do believe in innovation, but even with that, they might need an innovation coach, like somebody literally to walk them through what is innovation, what does innovation look like, how is innovation healthy for you, you know. So yeah, I'm sorry, Val, talk to me.
So think about you when you first started. You said at least you get to pick what you want from the restaurant.
Yeah.
Really, you get to pick what's on the menu.
Yeah, within structure.
Right. It's still structure,
Yeah.
but it's freedom within the structure.
Yeah.
No matter what restaurant you go to, like now I've seen E change the menu sometime, but
but not the ingredients. Not the ingredients. They got eggs in the back. You're going to tell me you can't cook an egg after 3. You got an egg in the back now. I know it's 8 o'clock, but you got some eggs in the back. So go ahead and make me an egg sandwich.
That's
please.
reserved for top tier innovators. Top tier innovators.
Okay, top tier, right. But that's the thing. So as an educator, create the menu, but give them the freedom. So what we do with extreme teachers, utilizing DISC assessment, we show them what type of assessments to give students in order to help them use their superpowers. So how about if you allowed the students to record a video and teach or do a rap, but it's still the same information. It's just given back to you differently.
Yeah, different output options.
It's different output options. And guess what? There are students that would love to write papers because they can get all of their thoughts out and they don't have to be on camera. So your introverts have a way to succeed as well as your extroverts. But what you're not doing is limiting and making me fit in this I'm in class today box and with their paper and pencil. Because if that kid likes moving and you allow them to move to give you the information that you're looking for to check to see if they have, come on, they will succeed. And so it's called, right now they call them choice boards. Yep. So they get to choose off the board, but you still in control. It's the menu. Change. You have the option to see what's on, to put what you want on the menu, but the kid has the freedom to choose which one they're feeling today.
You know what, Val? I would even say now looking back, you know, when the teacher would tell me I wasn't necessarily a good writer, you know, I don't know if that's the truth or not. I do remember, and you guys have to help me out. It's been so long, but I remember enjoying like an argumentative speech or an argumentative.
Yes.
I remember like the argumentative boy. I'm with that. I love to write the argumentative boy. It was some of the other styles of writing I wasn't necessarily comfortable with, and so here you have I'm not comfortable, and then you give me an assignment that is not toward my strength. You give me something that is a limitation, and then you tell me I'm not educated, you know, or you tell me that I'm inferior. And it's like, no, I promise you, there are multiple ways to write. You know, there's poetry. Like I love poetry. You could have taught me the 8 parts of speech using poetry. You know, like you didn't have to teach it to me like that one boring way that you were teaching it to me. You know what I'm saying? Like there were multiple ways. We talk about books. I didn't like history. Like I didn't particularly care to remember 1884, you know, 1736.
Where was that?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there were
first of all those dates are wrong, E.
Oh yeah, right. I'm sure they all are.
It's history. Just told you they like it.
I promise you they are. You feel me? But I promise y'all, I love autobiographies. I loved autobiographies. I'd love to read about people's life and the stuff that they went through. Favorite books in the whole wide world, professional development. But for whatever reason, though, we never really used those books. Well, we did use them, but it was like on the weekend, read an autobiography. But we weren't necessarily using autobiographies to teach me how to write. And so it's like, yo, why can't we use an autobiography to get this same, you know, point across? And I think I told you guys of the story of a kid, you know, who I actually was a sub for an English teacher for almost a year. And it was a kid who was super religious, you know, and he was one of those kids that kind of found like every secular book to be demonic. You feel what I'm saying? And so, I would use the Bible to teach him the 8 parts of speech. I would use the Bible to teach him certain things. Why? He loved the Bible. He loved reading the Bible. So I talked to my principals like, yo, this is a smart kid. He just, for whatever reason, he's a freshman and he going through this religious phase. You know what I'm saying? And he doesn't see, and I'm being honest, let's say like Alice in Wonderland. For him, he was like, yo, that's spooky. Like that's secular, you know what I'm saying? It's not spiritual. It has some connotation. I wasn't gonna argue with the kid, but I'm like, yo, he loves the Bible. And there are certain other religious books he loves. I promise I can teach him everything he needs to learn. I can teach him from that. So we did that as freshman year. We built a relationship. By his sophomore year, I reintroduced him to some of the books that, he didn't necessarily, and I explained to him, like, yo, you're going to be finished with high school in a couple of years. Just go along with this foolishness. You know what I'm saying? Don't get kicked out. You know what I'm saying? You're a good kid. Like, right. So, but I'm just saying, I was innovative for a student who need innovation. And the kid right now is killing the game, married, is doing phenomenal. I think he's at a hospital, almost like a CEO of a hospital, killing the game. And so I just say to all of our instructors, for real, when we say innovation, maybe somebody should read the definition of it. But I do believe that one of the answers to the challenges that we're facing in the classroom is being innovative. I know my wife, if it's not hot food, she won't eat it. She just won't eat it. And so I'm saying, as an instructor, you got to give hot food. Like, you can't keep serving the same thing you've been serving for the last 15 years, 20 years, the last 10 years. And I even tell coaches this, right? I tell coaches this. Some of you coaches, you need to be innovative. Like, the style that you used to coach football or basketball years ago is not working anymore. And again, I know this is off topic, but please bear with me for 2 seconds. I saw where Deion Sanders just recruited the #1 football player in the country. He didn't go to Alabama. He didn't go to University of Michigan. He didn't go some of the bigger programs. My man went to Jackson State University, a small HBCU. That's innovation, y'all. I just want you to see what it looks like. Deion Sanders has convinced these kids to come to some little small school with no locker room. They don't really have the greatest facilities. And he's convincing kids that they need to come, and play at these small HBCUs. That's innovation. That's taking something that already exists, but bringing fun to it, bringing life to it, make it relevant, make it real, make it engaging, And so again, like I said, I know I use sports, but Jackson State University still is it is still academia. But those are some of the things that I would suggest that we do in the classroom to to make students, as I always used to say, my goal as a teacher was not what happened in the classroom. My goal was always, what can I do to make that kid get up in the morning and want to come to my class? Like, that was my thing. Like, what can I do to make a kid want to get dressed, in some cases walk through drug infested, prostitution infected, poverty infected neighborhoods to come to my class and not want to miss it? Like, what can I do to make a kid like, yo, I can't miss Mr. Thomas' class. Like, yo, it's about to be on and popping. I need to get there, So and so I don't necessarily, mean innovation maybe in some complex manner. Just to simplify it, I created instruction in a way where people would want to come, and even parents. I wanted parents to feel invited. I wanted, the community to feel invited. Like, I wanted everybody to want to come to this building where I felt like one of the greatest shows on earth was going on, and that's people using their brain, opening up their brain, and just the learning thing, y'all. I don't know if people are getting it, but that learning thing for me is not about standardized tests. Like, it's about a child like wanting to discover and explore, whether it's language or math or social studies or science, but it's something that clicks in that kid, and the kid is coming like, yo, I love you as a teacher, but I'm here because not just to get grades, but I truly want to learn.
Yeah.
It's a very important thing, a concept, and it might be in the way that we're presenting innovation as optional. Innovation is not optional; it is mandatory for success. If you stay on your sports analogy, the game of basketball is very, very different than the game of basketball was 20 and 30
Absolutely.
years ago.
Yeah,
If you
starting with
have
the
a
shorts.
That's the
if you
first thing I
have
thought when she said that, actually.
The shorts.
that was a good change. If you have if you have a 6-footer, a 7-footer, and you think that all they're gonna have to do is stand at the basket and score, you are greatly putting that kid at a disadvantage. That kid has to know how to dribble. That kid has to know how to shoot. The game of basketball has changed. You used to have the Twin Towers in the paint with the Spurs, and that thing is almost non-existent now. That doesn't exist. And so what I mean by that is if we keep teaching kids for a game or a system or occupations that have gone away 20 and 30 years ago, then we're never, as a country, as a group of people, are going to be in the spaces of leading anything. Innovation is mandatory. It is mandatory that your classrooms are innovative because attendance is a thing that we need, and we like, especially in Title I schools, we do so much fighting with attendance to keep kids like in the classroom. And regardless of what you do, things happen. Some kids, it happens. But if the innovation in our classrooms were different, it would help. Innovation is not optional. It's not a thing we can choose.
Good.
It is
That's good.
mandatory. If we are not innovative, we will literally continue to make kids prepared for a world that does not exist, that has already changed on them.
Yeah, that's
They
good.
have to be innovative.
Yeah, literally the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So when we have all these, we know teachers, you are in 100 data analysis meetings all the time, and they're talking to you about increasing your scores and building wide data. And then if we're talking about all that stuff that we want to change and increase and make better, but we're delivering instruction in the same way that we always have, it's literally insane, right?
It was baffling to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
well, and I guess I would ask us to be able to help those instructors out. Like, why do we do that? Maybe we can all talk about,
Yeah.
From our perspective, why we feel people do that, and then maybe give them a strategy, maybe to rethink, rethink what the importance of innovation. Because as you stated, it's not optional, because it's not optional at the movie theaters. It's not optional. What are the goggles? What is it? Oculus.
Oculus.
Come on, man. Like they going, you know what I'm saying? It's like you don't have no choice. They going
That's
into the
innovative. I'm
metaverse.
sitting at home, but I could travel.
Yeah.
Oh my
They're going into the metaverse.
It can't. One of the things that I used to do is they used to say, Miss Humphrey, the kids aren't turning to your class. But you had those teachers that stood in the doorway. Neil, you're late. Katie, I seen you coming down the hall. I didn't do that. And they were like, you take attendance? I sure do. But I gave them an activity that it only would last the first 3 minutes of class.
That they wanted to do.
If you weren't in class for the directions or the opening activity, I'm not giving them again. You
That's
cannot
good.
rewind my life because you were not
That's
here.
good. That's innovation.
My class. And they would go, Miss, you got to be here. I'm going to give the instruction. When the bell rings, I'm going to start talking. So what began to happen is I always had, if it would be extra credit on the board, and I would erase it. Once the bell rang, I would erase it. And they would be like, so they would be waiting in the class to see what I wrote on the board so they could get the extra points. Now, it was fun for me because I would wait on the bell. I'd be sitting there with the eraser. But for them, and nobody thought, I'm actually in class on time. They didn't get it. And then, so the college course I teach, we do riddles. So these amazing books called Stories with Holes, they're nothing but old school riddles. They just old school riddles. And it's just, and you would think I took those college kids right back to elementary school.
Yeah.
And even the chair of the department said, so how's attendance? I said, well, actually, I have 16 out of 17 every day. I said, we average 16, but most of the time it's 17. She said, in your class? I said, yes. She said, wow, that's unheard of at the collegiate
Good.
level. I'm like, no, I told them I don't understand when y'all say makeup work, because you wouldn't have to make it up if you were here. So we wouldn't have to worry about that. On the syllabus, I said we could skip this part. And I went straight, what you mean by didn't turn your homework in? No, you in college to work. We're skipping that too. So they would be like, and I love them just like I love elementary kids. I love them, and they got the work done.
Because they knew you loved them too. That's why.
I
They
promise.
knew that. They knew that.
They did. Yeah, that's why. Yeah. I love this conversation so much. I love that we started it. You said choices. I wrote down choices equals fun, right? And the fun equals engagement.
Yes.
And engagement equals increased academic ability. So like the goal, right, is that their academic skills increase. But we cannot teach the same way that we always have to have that happen. And so we have to back up if that's the goal, right? I'm sure you teach this all the time, right? When you're telling people like, what's your end goal? And you work backwards to get there, right? This like fits into every arena of everything. So if the goal is that for our kids, then we have to back up. We have to have them engaged. And you guys talked about attendance, right? First of all, they have to be there. But then they have to be like mentally present. They can't have headphones in or be wandering in the hallways. So they have to be engaged, and to be engaged, they have to want to be engaged. They have to care about what you're doing and think that it's actually fun to do. So we have to back up to that. And then choice is a big piece that makes it fun. So that's like the beginning. So I love that we started with that today, that choice equals the fun. And then we know we're still talking rigor here, right? We're not talking about making things easy for kids, but we get to the rigor by getting them engaged, by creating fun in our classrooms where they want to be and giving them choice. So I love that.
The school system reminds me of like the universe and like stars. So, whenever you're looking at a star, you're looking at what it used to be. Like it's no longer, I mean, it's probably like 5 or 7 years, I think, beyond what you can actually see. Like that's how fast, like the speed of light. Don't quote my actual facts. Just keep in mind the general idea. That's what the school system reminds me of. The school system, it is very slow to turn, and for good reason. It's huge, it's big, even statewide, nationwide. It's just a very, very big thing. And so sometimes we're trying to be innovative too big. All it takes is one courageous teacher, one courageous administrator, one courageous principal. It doesn't have to be school wide all the time. It doesn't have to be district wide all the time. It's okay to do the beta testing first. It's okay to let the explorative teachers go first and to see how a thing works and to say, okay, we like this. But then it's like oftentimes by the time we have the best-selling book that the one amazing teacher taught, technology has already left us and the tides have turned again. Right. And so teachers, we cannot be waiting on the next professional development and the next district initiative to be innovative. By the time it gets to you, it will be too late. Innovation is a very person to person, student to student, classroom to classroom, school to school kind of thing. And that's like, because it can't be a blanket, right? Because if it was a blanket, then it wouldn't be innovative. If everybody was doing the same thing, then it wouldn't be innovative. But that's the scary part, I think, for the educational system. What will we do? How will we grade? How will we know if everybody isn't doing the same thing? So I think that's kind of what, is like a fear or kind of scary or apprehension about innovation, but we really don't have a choice.
That's good, Neil. So this is a question I often ask. In the summer, right before school starts, a teacher will plan out the year. And they can almost do their lesson plans. So my question is, how do you do that? How do you prepare for the year and write your lesson plans out for the entire quarter and you haven't met your students? You don't know where your student, like you can have an idea. I know I want to use this book, but you plan out the pages, you plan out everything, and you write your lesson plans. You haven't met your kids. You don't know if you need to start here, or just like, how much work do you need to do? And I just believe as an administrator, I tried to teach my students, like you can know the plays, but as a coach, you got to know how to shift a little bit.
Absolutely.
So when I introduce myself as an education coach. A coach wants to win. I'm not just the instructor, I'm the coach.
Yeah.
I'm helping you and I'm teaching you the plays. And what I want to teach you is how to apply the different things, not to spew out information. So when I teach you, what I want you to do for yourself is problem solve. But I have to put you in situations where you're problem solving. So I have to be innovative because I need to meet you in order to see what I need to put together in order to coach you to be a better human being, a better person, or to be able to go out and really get a job and not just have to spew data, and not to be at McDonald's pushing the picture on the register because they took the words off the cash
I
register.
did not know that. Is that real?
Yeah.
Yeah, you push the picture now. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So you don't even, and that's because you don't have to read. I'm sorry to say this, Katie. This is not going to help you. You don't have to read. You see the pictures. You can hit the, the do not enter sign. You hit that, and then you can hit the picture of the lettuce, the picture of the cheese,
Right.
the picture of the pickle, and you don't have to read.
But that's why I wholeheartedly believe in an innovative system where kids get all for real all of their basics in that
Absolutely.
freshman through sophomore, freshman through junior and a half, if you will. But then once they have these basics, we have to move on to what the real world looks like. It's
Absolutely.
imperative.
Yeah, making that connection. For me, guys, when I think of innovation, and I try to do this in my classroom, I hope I'm saying it correctly, but Hamilton, I don't know if you guys have had an opportunity to see that, but
Mhm.
I was like, whoa, if they would have taught like this,
I
they
know,
would have
right?
taught this like this, I would have got it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I promise you, I would have got it. But you're using some like 1800s English, like I didn't know what you was talking about. Shakespeare in the beginning, I didn't get it. But when I saw, the reenactment of Shakespeare, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that makes sense. So one of the things I tried to do as a teacher was I tried to make sure that they understood. Right now, I know this sounds simple, but I don't know what it is about school, but some instructors try to make it so difficult that I don't know the purpose of that. It's like
Mhm.
even when I speak, there are multiple words that I could use to convey a message, but I want to use the ones you understand. Okay, I did go to college. I do have a PhD. It's funny. I think recently on one of the podcasts I was doing, one of the guys commented, or it might have been one of my 3 a.m. A guy commented like, "Yo, I thought you had a PhD. You using those type of words? I thought you had a PhD." And I was like, I
Stop.
do have one, but everybody I'm talking to, they don't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They don't have a PhD. So the goal is not to show how smart I am. That's not
Come
the
on.
goal.
It's
The
gonna be
goal is to make sure that I'm clear.
Yeah.
So if we're using fifth grade terms, we can use fifth grade terms. Now, when we have to get prepared for, a standardized test, then we can go over the words that are going to be over the standardized test, and we can
Mhm.
have a time frame where I discipline you, and we're going to use an hour in the day or 30 minutes in the day, and we're going to practice these words, and we're going to know how to use those words. But my grandma has a third grade education. There's no need for me at the family reunion to prove to my grandma I got a PhD. I don't have anything to prove. I know I have one. So we're gonna talk to grandma in a way that grandma understands the words that are coming out of my mouth when I'm talking to my little cousins. I don't have to prove to them that I went to school. We're gonna figure out where their grade level is, and we're gonna speak to that grade level. And so
Mhm.
to me, innovation is, yes, I do understand that there is a benchmark and we have to get people up to it, but I believe we have to start where they are.
Yeah.
And we start where they are, and then we take them to where they're going. So again, if I'm in a room with you guys, I mean, I may be able to use it's a couple of my 25-cent words. You know what I'm saying? I might be able to pull those out, but depending on where I am. And so I think we have to be careful as instructors not to try to make learning difficult for the sake of proving it's a discipline.
Yeah.
That's not the goal. The goal is for them to learn. And so we have to be innovative enough as instructors to figure out where everybody is. And then we have to talk to where they are and bring them to wherever it is, we're trying to bring them. And then I got to say this too. We have to understand that they have something to teach as well. Again,
For
we use
sure.
this term all the time. we're not in the classroom to dominate, and we do like to dominate as instructors. We're not there to dominate. We're there to facilitate, you know? And so I hope you guys got something out of the day. I hope, you know, as an instructor, you will be vulnerable enough. We're not saying you're not doing a phenomenal job. You know what I'm saying? We're not questioning your instruction.
For
But what we
sure.
are saying is that, and you know, Nell brought it out earlier. It's like every basketball, everybody's innovative. Everybody's, you know, everybody's growing and changing. Everybody's going to another level, and no school system left behind. You know, we look at Elon Musk. We look at, you know, Zuckerberg, like Facebook. Like we look at, they switch. I think he Meta something. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's switching up. Everybody's changing the game. You know, and as educators, we shouldn't be falling behind the rest of the world. You know, we should, if technology, you know, they're going from gas to electric vehicles, they're going from electricity to solar. It's just everybody around us, you know, are making adjustments, and we have to make the adjustments in the classroom as well. We're going to keep up with, if we're going to keep up with our baby. So I don't know if you guys, 30-second, 60-second.
Yeah, can I just say
Boom.
this? Some of you are being innovative already, and you are making your classrooms so fun that the kids want to be there. And we see you and we think you are courageous, because I loved what Nell said. Like, you don't have to always wait for the next district initiative, and administrators, like, we're challenging you to allow your teachers to be courageous enough to be innovative and make their classrooms fun. And maybe that means every once in a while you walk into their classroom and they're doing something silly and it looks different from what, you know, regular instruction normally looks like. But you, like, give them the benefit of the doubt that they're building relationships and they're creating pathways to learning that are maybe different from what have been created before. So I just want to encourage you that are already doing this to keep going, because sometimes it feels like a lot of work, and maybe like you're the only one thinking outside the box and the people around you maybe are not doing that. So keep doing the right thing for kids, because a lot of you are doing that already.
Love it. Anybody else before we go to Coach B's office?
Yep. I think number one, we have to give Ron Artest his flowers. That man changed his name to Meta World Peace, and we laughed.
Yeah.
And
But
we
everything is
laughed.
meta now in the world.
And we laughed. The tide changes every day. Innovation is necessary. It's imperative, and it's okay. The world has changed. Like he was talking to, you know, it used to be a thing. There was a gate into discipline, into that's my normal wake up alarm. Thank you. It was a gate into the discipline. I'm like, golly, it's a gate into being educated. Like it was a very prestigious thing. You know, everybody can't do it. And so when I come home, I use these words. And the truth is now we realize that everybody needs an education. And so to continue to guard the gate of education with nonsensical things makes no sense. It makes no sense when everybody, our neighborhoods, our cities, our states, our country is better when people are all educated and innovation is the way.
Access for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Access for everybody.
I love it.
I love it.
One of the amazing things I saw, her name is Amy Scott, science teacher at my old school. You would walk into you walk in, every year she did it. She turned her science lab into a murder scene. She had a tape on the floor of the body, and they had to apply the science. It was a CSI thing. The whole
I love it.
Like stuff was knocked over. It was just all kind of stuff in the class.
love it.
The kids came and they didn't know. So they walked in. She said, you got to solve the murder. The kids just jumped in. But like what Katie is saying, if I walked in on that and, oh my God, why would you do, oh my God.
And kids are like all talking and they're walking around the room.
Yes.
This classroom's out of control is what your first thought may be.
And guess what, Katie? Those kids walked out of there using the science terms, all of that. It's not a box. Education is not, it can't be a box. Because I may be larger than somebody, I may be smaller than someone, so we don't fit into this box. And hey, there's this guy, what is it? I wrote it down. His name is Desmond Dennis. He turned all of the nursery rhymes into R&B tunes. It is when I listened, I was like, oh my goodness. But it didn't make me feel like I was learning outside of, it was still exposing me to the information. But the way he did it was a way that the kids felt like, oh, this for me. And then you can transition them into anything. A kid is a sponge. It's your job to fill them. So stop trying to just make them fit into a box and just pour into them and let it just naturally flow out of them. Not that you shouldn't assess, but education is not a box.
No, that's crazy. Yeah.
I got one more thing, and it came to me because CJ Trey is into music production, and CJ is trying to figure out, hey, what should I get him? He's at this space, and when I started telling him about it, I realized that we spend so much trying to push and move kids forward that we forget that when you are learning and when you are growing, there is a natural frustration that happens. We do not have to create it. It is a natural frustration that happens when a person wants to know more, when a person has reached their peak in something and it's time for them to move on. And oftentimes we push kids to that point, and that's how you have kids in grades and they don't know the things that they should know there. It's because we've pushed them to that point instead of letting kids walk into the natural frustration and evolution of education. And innovation is an extreme part of that.
Let me add this because you just made me think of this, Neil. Hold on. Just like that butterfly coming out of the cocoon, right? If you snip the cocoon, he will never fly. He has to go through that process to pull the fluid out of its wings so it could be a butterfly will never fly if you rush the process. That I'll shorten it like that.
Yeah, you know what? You took me back though, Val, when you talked about songs. I remember learning in church the Bible, Psalms 19. There was a couple of them, but it was like they made them in the Psalms more precious than gold, more precious than the honey on a honeycomb. It's like I remember the scriptures because our pastor, they could sing, so they would sing the Psalms.
Yeah.
And so I would remember them because it was like a song. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if I try to memorize them like it was a textbook, it would be difficult. And it had it had that rhythm to it. So to your point, there are non-traditional ways, to teach, and I think what we have to do as instructors, I know it gets difficult because it's like, man, it's always something new, but it is. And for a society to grow and to advance, and for a society not to, not be a superpower, that's what happens. People aren't being innovative. And I tell people this all the time, like, I know they don't believe it, but just because you're a superpower today, it doesn't mean you're going to be a superpower tomorrow. As we study history, think of how many civilizations, were dominant at a particular time, and that society is not dominant anymore. Why? Because the innovators died, and no one replaced those innovators. And so they continue to do what had been done for centuries, and people outsmarted them because they didn't have that innovation. And let me say this to you guys too. Some of you are innovative, but innovation creates isolation. And a lot of you can't handle that rejection. You can't handle when you're innovative and the people around you aren't. And they're giving you a hard time because you are, and they're questioning you and they're teasing you. And they're picking and picking holes in what you do. But I'm telling you, we started motivation in 2007, 2006, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe. And I say it with all humility, but to see so many young people who are now trying to do motivation, seeing people putting up motivational quotes, seeing people do audio to whatever, just seeing online all the motivation. And there was a time where motivation was seen as corny, or motivation was specifically for maybe, the business sector, but now like everybody is going online and putting like, we like to believe that, we played a small part in that, and we were doing it when nobody else was doing it. But to now see other people doing it, and so many kids now, especially in the urban communities, who are rocking the cap, rocking the sweat, and they're out here speaking. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow. But guys, you will take some blows if you're innovative. You will take criticism if you're
Yeah.
innovative.
Yeah.
But to Katie's point, the increase that will come from innovation, man, it's worth it. To
Yeah.
see kids increase academically because you're innovative is worth it. All right. I know B is sitting there somewhere. Coach B is sitting there somewhere, is ready for us to come to the office. I heard the call a while ago to come to the office, but we were roaming the halls. We didn't go straight to the coach's office. So
What happens when
Coach
you're
B-
with your friends on the way to the
yeah,
office?
yeah. We're talking to friends. You know what I'm saying? Having a
We
good
got
time.
innovative on how to
Yeah.
get
We were being innovative on our way to the office.
Uh-huh.
So Coach B, talk to us.
Welcome back to the principal's office. This is the office hours where we go back and review and recap some of the most impactful points from today's broadcast. Today was a fun one, so we've got quite a few things for you here. Number one, be innovative. That was the topic of the whole show, innovation. How do we innovate the classroom? Well, we heard the whole panel speak about how kids tend to go from making no decisions to making all the decisions, from having some sort of support system to not really having a support system on campus, at least when you first get there, from having social capital to having a whole new social circle. So what are we doing to guide students? How are we offering controlled innovation, allowing these new experiences and free choice and all these other things, but in a way that doesn't allow them to stray off the path? See, Auntie Val made a great point here. Even at a restaurant, you have free choice of the things that they offer. Free choice, but from the menu of selections that they give you to choose from. So how are you offering these types of innovative opportunities in your classroom? Definitely something to think on. Number two is be engaging, right? What can you do to make a kid want to get up and come to your class? ET spent a lot of time talking to this. How can you craft your instruction in such a way that students and parents alike always want to be there? And we heard Nell say that innovation is not optional. Under no circumstances is it optional, because if you want your kids to be invested in the process, then you are going to have to engage them. And in order to engage them, you have to innovate. She gave us the example of basketball. You can't coach the way that you used to because the game is played in a totally different way than it used to be played. So innovation was not optional. And if you don't innovate, then your students are going to end up bored and unprepared. But watch this. The same thing happens in the classroom. If we're doing the same things year after year after year, it's New Year, so we just talked about this. If we're doing the same thing year after year, it's quite literally the definition of insanity, because we're going to continue to get the same results and kids will suffer for it. Innovation is a prerequisite for engagement. Last but certainly not least, choices equals fun, and fun equals engagement, and engagement equals results. I love this. Katie came through and broke it down step by step by step. She gave us a whole equation. She said, look, choices, innovation, new stuff is what creates fun in the classroom, right? And when kids have fun in class, then they become engaged and they start to care more about the results. They start to care about not letting you down as a teacher, as the leader in the classroom. They care about those things. When kids are engaged, they get results. It leads to greater academic achievement, right? And Nell put the cherry on top here by saying, where does this all start? Yes, it starts with innovation, but where does innovation start? She said, one courageous teacher, one courageous principal, one courageous decision. That's where it all starts to be the next big thing. Don't wait to be the next big thing. Don't wait for the next big thing. Be the next big thing. All right, couple of announcements. Of course, Auntie Val and I are still on tour. The Principals Solutions Tour, Teacher Solutions too. But the Principal Solution Tour, we've been going across the country, visiting schools and giving them the solutions, the extreme teacher solutions to all of the principals' challenges in these schools. And if you would like your school to be on our tour list, email info@extremeteachers.com and get on that list. We would love to see you on the road. And as always, visit www.extremeteachers.com to learn more about becoming a certified extreme teacher, to take the DISC assessment, to explore all sorts of other products and services that we offer that can can help take you and your school to the next level. And of course, please check the link in the description below and nominate an extreme teacher in your life to be featured on the podcast. And speaking of, our teacher spotlight today goes to one of our certified extreme teachers from my hometown of Huntsville, Alabama, Miss Linnell Johnson. All right, we asked her what she loves about teaching, and she said, "I love being a part of the continual learning process. As a teacher, my students learn from me, but I have also learned so much from my students. I love engaging with students, drawing out their confidence, and allowing them to discover their own potential. It is an incredible experience." Absolutely love it. So thank you, Linnell. You do an amazing job, and we cannot wait to see the impact that you will continue to make in the future. Now, as we close out another episode, I just want to say that 2022 is here. It is a new year. Now, listen, I want to ask you a question. If you went to the movie theater and you saw a movie, but the movie was just not that great. Honestly, the movie was kind of terrible. It didn't live up to the hype. It wasn't a good storyline. Maybe the actors didn't do a great job, whatever it was. If that was your experience, would you go back the next day and watch the same movie over again? Think about it. Is that a decision that you would make? Because most of us would say, no, I wouldn't make myself have a negative experience twice. That makes absolutely no sense. But for some reason, a lot of us rewatch the same year of our lives over and over and over again. We watch the same movie over and over and over again. And every single year on January 1st, the movie restarts, but the plot hasn't changed. It's the same thing. So do me a favor and do you a favor. Don't be a passive viewer. Don't be a passive viewer of your own movie this year. We have a new year with new opportunities, with new potential. So stop watching the movie and start directing it. If the movie isn't good, don't go back and watch it again and expect something to change. Write the movie that you want to see this year, and your Extreme Teachers family will be right there with you the whole way. As always, you're watching the Extreme Teachers Video Podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.